the journey to the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the US, Canada, and Mexico, of course, has kicked off in earnest in Africa. And yesterday, it wasn't what they bargained for. And as of this time, Nigerians are still venting their anger on social media. On that note, I welcome you to Sports Africa. This is where we talk about the big footballing stories on the continent. And Kado Gundare is here. James Agrebi is still not around because of official assignment. Kado, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Femi. As always, it's a pleasure to be here.
And of course, I welcome our fans, especially around the world or wherever you are joining us from. Of course, this show is for everyone on the continent of Africa. Whereas to start from down to look at, of course, some of the results on the continent. But first, let's really take you on what we have for you on the show today. We'll be talking about Continental Roundup, where we talk about what we're going to be looking at on the show today. Then the big talking points where we talk about issues on the show. Then we'll go our stars in the diaspora today. We'll be going to Uganda, and of course the netball team in Uganda, they are the stars in the diaspora today. And the big match will be going to Ghana this weekend. Welcome to the show. Okay, let's get talking with Continental Roundup before we go on the break. Now, credibility has again come to question regarding the CAF awards for the Confederation of African Football, because former Super Eagles skipper John Obimike has come out to say that in 2013, he was told that he was the winner of that award. So, of course, we are keeping our fingers crossed. Remember, it's going to be in December 11th when CAF will be crowning the next African Footballer of the Year. And, of course, like we told you, the last of Rafael Dramina, the Black Stars guy who collapsed and died last week, has not been heard. And the Deputy Prime Minister of Albania is actually spitting fire to the country's footballing authorities. And sadly, again, another African Zimbabwe goalkeeper, George Chigowa, also died through cardiac arrest. We'll be looking at all of those today. And again, we go to Ghana because remember Manchester United legend Sir Bobby Charlton, who died and has now been buried. A burial was also held in his honor in Ghana. But we've never seen an African football legend be given such honor. We'll be looking at all that on the show today. Let's go on this break. When we return, we'll be going straight into the talking point. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back to the show. It's still Sports Africa. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, like we say right here in Nigeria, in the National Youth Service Corps, you are wrong. Please subscribe to this channel. Tell someone to tell someone, because this is where all the big footballing stories in Africa have been discussed like you would never see in the mainstream media. Yeah, Kyle, let's get talking regarding the results yesterday in the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Africa. Kyle, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, of course, let's talk about that. But first, let's go to Egypt. Egypt, beating Djibouti 6-0, and Mohamed Salah getting, on the breaks, 4 goals in that one. And I think it wasn't a surprise. Quickly, maybe we should run through the fixtures if you have the time. Okay, the producer will put it on the screen. Let's talk about Egypt and the Super Eagles again, because those are the two major fixtures yesterday, Kyle.
Well, Egypt, like I always say to those who claim that there are no minnows in football, I always strongly disagree that there are still minnows. If there are no minnows in football, then the world FIFA rankings will be of no effect. The FIFA rankings just indicate that some teams are bigger and better than the others. That's why you see a country could be number 1 and another country will be number 195. So there's no way you're going to compare the two. Egypt faced a minnow in Djibouti and they decisively defeated them 6-0. Nigeria faced its own minnows in Lesotho.
Lesotho.
They have minnows for me. It's just like you comparing Germany and Andorra or San Marino. San Marino would, until the end of time, be a minnow compared to Germany in terms of pedigree, in terms of talent and everything. So the fact that the Lesothans were able to come and grab a draw in Nigeria does not automatically mean they are on the same par with Nigeria. No, you might be surprised that this same team, given the same opportunities, they will go to Lesotho and beat them silly. So what will happen to those who claim they are no minnows again? We've seen this happen several times. We saw it during the last qualifiers when Nigeria got beaten by
Guinea-Bissau.
Central African
Okay. In the
Republic.
last, well, yeah.
Central African Republic, yeah, they went to defeat them there. Same thing with Guinea-Bissau. They went there to defeat them. So although the good thing for the Nigerians is that this is coming this early in the qualifiers, so they know that there is no margin for error now. It would have been much more fatal if this were to happen like the last two games when there will not be any remedy. Now they know that they have their destiny in their hands, and I hope they are able to overturn things, because the road ahead is very, very tricky, Femi.
Okay, Kyle, let's talk about this controversy spilled up by John Obi Mikel. He has this Obi-Wan podcast, and he said, and I quote, he said, I should have won it. He said, it was my trophy to be won. I won the Africa Cup of Nations. I won the Champions League the year before, and I won the Europa League that year, 2013. And yeah, won what? He didn't win anything. Coming to the ceremony, I thought I'd won. The information was I was going to win it. My agent said, you've won it. And I was told by CAF that I have won it. Kyle, this spills controversy regarding the credibility of this award once again. Of course, another one will be coming up in December 11th, but Kyle, this is a huge one. We do not know whether Mikel is actually, what he said is actually true, but we know that, of course, he wouldn't be making up stories. But Kyle, the bottom line is, this tells about the credibility of this award.
Seriously, I think it is Mikel's words against that of whoever he claimed told him that. So I don't think it's proper for us to start speculating about whether somebody told him or not. Like you said, well, I'm not sure that Mikel is going to come here and be making up stories. But what I know is, and I remember that this particular incident in 2013, I said at that time that Mikel did well in his club. But what Mikel conveniently forgets is that he wasn't the only Nigerian that won all of those things at the time he was at this period. Victor Moses was also a Chelsea player at that time. He won the AFCON with Mikel. He won all of those trophies with Mikel. So that means Victor Moses could also have made the same claims. So for me, what I thought happened in that period of time was that the organizers, okay, let me make this declaration, Femi. All of these awards do not interest me because they are never objective. Your best player may not.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Because yes, credibility is always in question.
Yes, your best player may not be my own best player. What I believe that CAF or those who make this these things, the only award category that I am always eager to follow is that of highest goal scorer. Femi, there's no way you can deny the debate way that is. That's the only one I follow. So and
others are subjective, right?
Others are subjective. Who you think is your best player might not be my best player. So it's your word against mine. Mikel might think he did well because some people told him. He said his agent told him. Of course, his agent will tell him that. But the fact is, those who nominated Yaya Toure, like he said, that's a very, very strong allegation about the CAF president and whatever. It wasn't the first time that the CAF president would be a francophone country and somebody from another part of the continent to win it. So for me, I'm not even willing to go into that debate with Mikel.
Okay.
All I know is Mikel was a great, very, very great player. But then I thought at that time, because I remember writing an article about this, Femi, and I think I'm going to dig it up somewhere. Probably we'll find a way to put it online, that it is not about what you won in a team game that matters, like your impact in your team. That was it possible without Mikel in that team? Would Chelsea have won all of the things they won? You now compare it without Yaya Toure, the Yaya Toure you and I knew at that time, would Man City would have been that successful?
Okay, Gary, we'll actually maybe before this December 11 ceremony, we'll actually look for time to talk about some of these things because of time.
Let's do that.
Okay. Let's go to Zimbabwe because of this goalkeeper, of course, George Chigowa, who also he suffered a cardiac arrest in July, but eventually died last week. This issue again is reminding all of us of Rafael Dramina, of course, the Black Stars who collapsed last week. I think over during the week, George Abbey, former Super Eagles right back, he's now a fitness instructor in the UK, and he was saying that Africans are prone to heart attack than white players. I do not really understand the basis for that, but I'm sure he must have a point, because of what he does now. I think we need to do more in terms of checkup for our players. And as a matter of fact, in that interview, he warned Nigerians and Africans against going to clubs in Albania and Cyprus because he said his last year as a professional footballer in Cyprus, no medical checkup was carried out on him. He said so he played that last year, it was just on his own. If anything happened to him, he will have just gone. So, this reminds us of the importance of this medical checkup for our players, particularly in Africa.
Yeah, I think I understand where George Abbey is coming from. Sometimes this thing is genetics. Like the genetic makeup of the black man is different from that of the white. So that's why there are some diseases, there are some infirmities that are common to blacks than white. There are some that when you go to Europe and America, you see that there are some diseases that are common to the white man too. So in this case, we are prone to obesity. We are prone to because of the lifestyle too, Femi. Sometimes some of our players, the kind of lifestyle they live, even as professional footballers, as professional sportsmen, leaves a lot to be desired. So probably that's where the angle George Abbey was coming from. But it is one dead too many. And like I said on the last program, Femi, Albania and all of these Eastern European countries where the laws are lax, you understand a lot. They get away with criminal things. There are some things that wouldn't have happened in Western Europe and in America because the regulations are stricter. So for me, I think I agree with him that when you see some of these players don't have a choice. They move to those places because they want a life for themselves. So they may not have a choice about whether they go to Albania or Kazakhstan or whatever. What is important is that the authorities like UEFA should be stricter because these countries are also under UEFA. So you cannot close a blind eye to whatever it is they are doing there, and you think as long as you paint a good image of Western and Central Europe, all is well. No, sir, it's not. You have to look at every of the federating members so that nobody needs to die needlessly, like we have seen in this recent past.
Okay, of course, that was aptly said, because, like I said, the former Prime Minister of Albania, Arion Brace, said that Spain saved Dramina, England saved Dramina, and he's been asking questions why his country actually failed. And of course, Dramina's father has come out to solicit for support in order to bring the body home to Ghana for burial. We'll get our fingers crossed as far as that is concerned. Okay, they're still talking about Ghana, of course. Remember, we talked about Sir Bobby Charlton. I think earlier this week, he was buried in Manchester, and we saw that picture of thousands lined the street just to pay their last respect to him before he was committed to Mother Earth. We saw the same thing in Ghana. Of course, the video is rolling now on the screen. Some people draped in red clothes, standing mourning in front of Sir Bobby Charlton's picture. I don't think any African football legend has died. And even in Ghana, and we've seen such a ceremony, or no, I stand to be corrected, but I don't think I've seen. You actually pointed me this video. You sent me this video.
Now you are going to get me into trouble with my Ghana friend. This actually happened in Tisano, a suburb of Accra, which is in the greater Accra area. So, and for me, it was so funny when I saw it, because I saw the funeral. I know Ghana and their affinity with large funerals. They are like the Ijebus in Nigeria.
Really, I've seen very funny. I saw people, bodies being lying in state, stand up, in an upright manner. And I was like, what's this?
They love funeral ceremonies a lot. It was like taking it a bit too far when I saw that the ceremony was for Sir Bobby Charlton. I'm like, what? are you guys doing? So for me, it was so funny. I couldn't resist sending
They
you
could
that.
have repatriated the body to Ghana and take back to England.
Well, maybe in his storyline, maybe in his family, in his bloodline, they have our ancestry linked to Ghana. We are not able to say, but I guess
He was a white man, no
yeah, no,
trace
I
of
guess it's
black.
because he was in Ghana at the point. He came to Ghana at the point, and so they believed they owned a part of him, and they felt they should give him a. And you know the very funny thing, I compared and contrasted that funeral with what was done for Sir Bobby in Manchester, and I would take the Ghana service over and over again because it was more colorful. There was dance, there was music, and everything than the somber ceremony that was held in Manchester. So I think Ghana won this. It's Ghana 1, Manchester 0.
Okay. Of course, Ghana 1, Manchester 0.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it go on this break. When we return, we'll move straightly to Stars in Diaspora. We told you we'll be going to Uganda today. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. It's still Sport Africa. Kyle, let's talk about the game of netball. Of course, the first question I would have loved to ask you is it just a game for the female folks? Because I have not seen men playing netball, but it is one game that is actually growing, drastically in Uganda. Initially, it was South Africa. I think South Africa were one of the countries that pioneered it in Africa because, of course, they've been participating in World Championship. But Uganda, it is growing, and of course, they in Netball World Cup in 2023, they will be participating in a 4-day series in England in January. And I think it is something that is commendable that all other African countries, I think, should actually begin to emulate. Nigeria, Ghana, before Uganda, South Africa will build this so much gap that will be very difficult to actually close up later.
Yeah, the truth is, no kings reign forever. There's always a point at which others will follow up and meet up, and then if you are complacent, they will overtake you. We've seen it in women's football in Africa, when there was a time that you could go to sleep when Nigeria is playing any team in Africa. The least they are going to score will be 4-5-6-0. Now you cannot stick your neck out and say Nigeria is going to win any game. And that's not because we have ignored the game in Nigeria. It's because those other countries have closed the gap. So it's possible that Nigeria and Ghana and all these other countries that you talk about, the thing about the Nigerians that I like the most is once they set their mind to something, any game at all, you can just give them 5 years. They will catch up. Now Nigeria used to be a good cricket playing nation. Not as good as Kenya, not as good as South Africa. But now they are closing the gap. Yeah, they are closing. Yeah, because I remember I had a friend who was a very good cricket player in those days. But now he got involved in other things. But even though as a cricket player, he was much more involved in football, because football is the king of sports in Nigeria. So for me, I believe there's nothing that the Nigerians set their minds to that they cannot do. Same for Ghana. All they need to do is just to set their attention on it. And you know what? I am sure that in the nearest future, calling future is even so wide that you will be surprised at the kind of progress these countries will make. Whether South Africa and Uganda, whether they try or not, these countries will close the gap because the rate at which those who are pursuing you will run is not the same rate at which you are going to try to advance. So I see a point. They may not be as strong as South Africa, but they are certainly going to be able to compete favorably in the nearest future.
Okay, Kade, before we go to the big match for the weekend, in 1 minute, why is it a game for the female folks? I have not seen men play netball. Or is the definition of the game, is it just for the female folks?
No, not really. But then, it's like this other game that they call crochet that mainly women play it. It's just like you asking why is it women that knits, that do knitting and needlework? It's just something that is just like feminine that you can't wrap your head around men playing the game. You understand? There's no rule that says a man cannot play it. But I think because it's a delicate game. You know, if you follow the game of netball, you see that once a player gets to the net, everybody calms down.
Everybody relaxes. Yeah.
Everybody relaxes. So they allow you to throw if you miss or if you're going to,
the net.
To make the net. Men, I'm not sure men have that kind of temperament. I'm not sure we have that kind of temperament.
Okay.
That's what I think. I might be wrong. That's what I think. It's not a game for men. It's actually a game tailored for the gentle ladies.
Okay, and of course there are gentlemen also, so they should allow me to come into this one as well. Okay, let's go on this very briefly. When we return, we'll talk about the big man for the weekend. We'll see you on the flip side. All right, welcome back. Of course, it is the last segment of Sports Africa on today. Let's go to Ghana, like we said, and of course, the Bepa Premier League in Ghana, I think it's in week 11 now, and the big match for this weekend in Africa is Ashanti Kotoko hosting Medema. Now, some may ask why this is a big match, and Ashanti Kotoko used to be, or they are still one of the traditional teams in Ghana. But of late, things are actually not working in their favor, like some in Nigeria and of course in Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and all that. Kayode, this is I don't want to say a former big team in Ghana. They're still a big team, whether we like it or not, of course, because they have huge following. And champions, they will be playing this weekend. And Kotoko have started the season as bad as anyone can think. Of course, remember, even Arts, they are not spared from a very horrible season. They just sacked their new manager, a manager who started the season with them, talking about Koopman. They just sacked him last week. And Kotoko, of course, they are 10th on the table. Medema are 5th after 10 matches, while Kotoko are 16. Kotoko are 16th on the table. Medema, who are even playing on the continent, they are 5th. First, what is happening with Kotoko before we go into the game? Very quickly.
I think it's what is happening to their co-housewives, their rivals. What's happening to us too? Because it's so inconceivable that both of them will be in the lower rungs of the table at the same time. Ordinarily, what you find out is that one is higher up than the other. The both of them, one is 16, one is 11 now. And then even my team, RTU, we are 15th on the table, which is unacceptable to me anyway. Which is unacceptable to me. And I hope we do better. But hey,
I thought RTU had been relegated. Really?
No, we are not. No, you cannot relegate us. We are not going down. So it's actually on an 18 league team table. Being in 16th position is in the relegation drop zone, and 10 points out of 10 is a calamity by Kotoko's standard. That's not the kind of standings that you expect of them. And regardless of what is happening now, they are still the biggest team in Ghana, whether you like it or not. You understand? So for me, the good thing about teams like this is that they are always challenged when the big games come up. They are always challenged that, okay, now we have to actually prove that we are better than this. But one thing I like about the Ghana League in recent years is that you see some of these newer teams springing up. Last season, it was Mediama and the Duana Stars. Now the Duana Stars are leading the table, which shows a level of consistency. So for me, that is something to be proud of in the league. That's a welcome development, because sometimes you feel like some of these other teams should come up to, and this is what we are seeing. The traditional teams are struggling. But going to this game, I know the question you asked was, what is wrong with Ashanti Kotoko? It's just a temporary dip in form. I am not sure that at the end of the season, they will remain where they are now. No, they're going to move up the table, and we're going to see. They have, like, out of 34 games, this is just 10 that have been played. So they have 24 more games to move up the table. I'm not saying they're going to win the title, but I'm sure that they're going to finish in a respectable position. So that's what I think about them.
Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, of course, for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, the Black Stars of Ghana will be taking on Madagascar today, and Chris Hughton is under immense. Immense is another understatement to actually describe the kind of pressure that is under, but hopefully the Black Stars will be able to deliver at home. Then you have, of course, Cameroon. Senegal will be playing tomorrow. Cameroon will be playing today. Of course, Ugo Basong is also under immense pressure to actually show stuff before the 2023 AFCON. Remember, the Indomitable Lions had to qualify for the 2023 AFCON on the last day of the qualifier. So, of course, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed on the performances of these teams. And on Monday, we'll be bringing you a full load of analysis. Hopefully, James Aguirre will be here and we'll be looking at everything together. Kado Gundari, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Femi. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, to our viewers, our fans around the world, we appreciate you so much for keeping faith with Sports Africa. Please subscribe to this channel, like we told you, for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers and preparation for the 2023 AFCON. Day by day, we are gradually moving closer to the opening ceremony. Don't forget, December 16th, of course, we'll be having the CAF Awards. Is it going to be Victor Osimhen of Nigeria or Mohamed Salah again? We'll see what CAF would decide at this time. We'll see you all on Monday. By the grace of God. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.